A sobering briefing by UN officials speaking from Goma, dressed in protective military gear given the dangerous situation unfolding around them.
We stress that military action cannot resolve this conflict. It is imperative that all parties cease hostilities and commit to political dialogue in order to prevent further civilian suffering. Resuming the Rwanda process is of the utmost urgency to ensure a path towards de-escalation and to avert the looming threat of a Third Congo War. We remind all parties of their obligation to uphold international humanitarian law and stress that attacks on United Nations peacekeepers may constitute war crimes.
The UN spokesperson earlier confirming that Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke by phone with both DRC President Felix Tshisekedi and then with Rwandan President Paul Kagame, emphasizing with the latter the need to protect civilians in eastern Congo. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs also reiterated calls on the parties to do all they can to spare civilians in their military operations, and that schools, hospitals and civilian infrastructure must be protected in line with international humanitarian law. Non-essential UN staff have been temporarily relocated outside of Goma, while UN peacekeeping personnel and troops have largely been forced to shelter in their bases. With the DRC's top diplomat expressing her frustration that the Council has yet to take a firmer hand with those groups violating her country's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Expectations is, of course, that the Security Council rises to the occasion. If we're meeting 48 hours after the last declaration and the last statement of the Security Council, then it means that it had no impact. We have come for impact, we have come for results, and we have come for clear action. And in 48 hours, 4 more South African peacekeepers were killed. The Council needs to act.
Has Goma fallen? Has Goma fallen?
The Council needs to act.
Less than 2 days ago,
Kigali's envoy reiterated their position that a coalition of forces near its border posed an existential threat to his country, justifying a defensive posture, and accused the DRC president of a thirst for regime change in Rwanda.
the coalition of anti-Rwanda forces on our border poses an existential threat to our country, which is not the case for the government of Kinshasa, which feels insulated from whatever happens 2,000 kilometers away. The border of Rwanda is 2,000 kilometers away from Kinshasa. A shell from across in DRC that falls on Rwandan territory falls on a very densely populated villages, and lives are lost. Even one bullet takes a life. Those in Kinshasa will not stay awake when such insecurity happens. So we are very serious when we talk of an existential security threat to Rwanda.
Since the last meeting of the Council...
Pretoria's envoy reflecting on the loss of lives of SANDF troops in this conflict and called on the Council to speak with one voice to stop the carnage unfolding.
This illustrates that the M23 is well-resourced and would have acquired such resources through means that are against the sanctions imposed by this Council. It is a contradiction in terms that a major UN peacekeeping troop contributing country could provide resources to an illegal armed group that is conducting offensives against peacekeepers, civilians, and key infrastructure, thereby undermining the mandate of this Council. That must be addressed with utmost urgency.
She called for more support for SAMIDRC.
The UN needs to, as a matter of urgency, provide additional support to MONUSCO in order to reinforce operational positions. This is to ensure that MONUSCO can fulfill its primary mandate to protect civilians. This support will also assist to ensure that no further peacekeepers' lives are lost. Similarly, a stronger consideration must be made to bolster the support that MONUSCO provides to the South African Development Community Mission in the DRC, SAMIDRC.
After a ministerial meeting of the AU Peace and Security Council on Tuesday, the East African community will hold an extraordinary summit at heads of state level later Wednesday to address the situation in the DRC, with participation expected from both Presidents Tshisekedi and Kagame. Shervin Briceby's SABC News, New York.